I believe we're live now, so if you're out there, do let me know by dropping a comment at the side, and you're very welcome to this live orchid repotting. I hope you'll find it useful. Today I'm going to repot, I think, all of my Paphiopedilum collection. We'll see how far we get anyway. There is one that's currently in flower, so I won't be doing that, but I will be doing the rest. So I hope you're having a great day. I was planting a grapevine in the greenhouse today, so I'm filthy and really tired, but orchids need repotting, so here we go. Before we start, I just thought I would show you the ones that we did last time. So in last week's orchid update, or sorry, 2 weeks ago, the live repotting, we repotted Brasada Orange Delight, which is this one, and the Rossio Blossom. And the Brasada particularly is doing really well, and I just don't know if you can see that there, but there's a little new green tipped root sticking out there and heading down into the medium. So that's really good news. It's so hot today. I can't believe how dry my orchids are. This was just watered not a very long time ago, but it is really sweltering for Ireland anyway. It's like, 30 in the greenhouse. It was incredible where I was working. 39 in the greenhouse or 40 in the greenhouse. My goodness. Okay, so this is the Rossio Blossom, which I also repotted. A bit ropier looking, and this one had roots that, I mean, there were some good roots, but it wasn't great. It does have a new growth right there at the front. And just having a look at the medium there, I'm thinking now that I will just top dress that with a little sphagnum moss, which I didn't do at the time, but given the temperature and the fact that it is, I mean, it's kind of the Oncidium alliance, isn't it? So a little bit of sphagnum isn't going to hurt. And I'm just going to place it around the surface of the pot, and that'll just help conserve moisture a bit. And the new roots that start to come out from the growth will sense the extra moisture from the sphagnum and hopefully head on down, which is exactly what we want. We'll be doing more of this today because with paphs, I do like to top dress mine with sphagnum. I find it really works well. So we will be doing that a bit later. Okay. So now, okay, so just top dressed it all the way around with a little bit of sphagnum, which, you know what, I think I will give this plant a bit of a water now anyway, because it really needs to get on with producing some good roots. Being a Rossio Blossom as well, it doesn't like the high temperatures, so yeah. Okay, fingers crossed for that one. And then, so we repotted them 2 weeks ago, and then a month ago, we repotted the Encyclia. So this is Encyclia randii, and you will recall we tied it into its pram here with a bit of wire. And yeah, it's doing well. I see some new green tips to some roots here. And I think, right here, see at the front, if we move this piece of bark away, you can see that there is a new root with a green tip heading down into the bark. So that's a good sign. Of course, Cattleyas are more hesitant to respond to anything, to any good news, than other orchids are. Cattleyas, don't get me wrong, Cattleyas will respond really quickly to bad news. But yeah, repotting and good ministrations, they are a bit reluctant to do anything there. Okay, so these are the pottings we did before. I will just kind of move them down here on the floor so we can get on with what we're going to do today. I have so many things on the floor around me that I'm going to use in the repotting. I have to make very sure and very careful I don't kick the water or something, because we could have an absolute disaster on our hands. Okay, so first orchid I forgot the pots. I left them in the kitchen. I'll see if I can call a member of my family to go and collect the pots while we deal with the other stuff. Okay, so all of these paphs have been let to soak for a couple of hours just to make sure that the roots are in good stead to come out of the pots. So we all know that. Okay, stop. I who's new to memberships and is interested in orchids, so you're very welcome, Regina. We're trying to do orchid repottings every 2 weeks here at the moment on the channel because so many of the members seem to be primarily interested in orchids, and I mean, this is for you guys, so why not do what you want to see? So that's the plan. We'll keep going for, I guess, as long as I have orchids to repot. And since I'm a bit of a lazy grower in some ways, there are a few that need attention. So we'll see how much of the paphs we can get through today. Okay, so this guy here is the beautiful white one that you've seen flower in so many of my videos. And he seems to have lost his label there. But it's a gorgeous white one with kind of speckles on. And it has flowered well this year, there and there. It's finished flowering now. And I think really with paphs, there's no kind of set time to repot them. Not when they're in flower because they're likely to abort the flowers. But other than that, any time really is as good as another, perhaps not in deadly winter. Okay, so this one has been soaked. And as we can see, he's got good roots. Can you see that? So I pot my paphs in transparent pots, and that means I can keep an eye on the roots. So we're going to just squeeze the edge of the pot, try and get this guy out of his old pot. You see down here at the end, you'll see that the roots are coming out the base. So we're going to have to be careful to try and not damage those. So right, so this is the collection bowl where I'm going to knock off all the old medium and collect it. And it will become obvious as time goes on how I'm managing with the other bowls. Yeah, I'll explain as we go through. Okay, so far, I guess all I've done is remove the sphagnum that's at the top of the plant. Lifted up some of these roots. I thought to myself, oh my goodness, how are we going to get this out? Absolutely love this plant. I picked this up when I visited the Schwerter nursery in Germany a few years ago. And it was always a dream of mine to visit that nursery because I buy so many of my plants from it. So it was really good. I didn't have a lot of space in my bags, but I managed to get this one in there and bring it back with me. And I think I've actually broken the pot, which is a shame, but not the end of the world. Better to break the pot than the plant. And this guy is being reluctant to come out. My goodness. I thought soaking him for so long would speed things up, but I'm just wondering now, since the pot is broken, might it just be as well to just break it up and get the plant out as quickly as possible? Of course, when you're making videos, yeah, I'm going to just break the pot. When you're making videos, you don't need to worry about all this stuff. You can just cut that out. Nobody wants to see me struggling with this stuff. Okay, so pot's broken, and I'm trying to ease this out without damaging the roots. Oh my goodness. I tell you what, just gonna stick on my glasses here to get a better look at what is going on here. Right, so I've broken a bit of that root there. And I have broken that too. Oh, well, okay, so out he comes. And now the next thing is to just knock off as much medium as we can. And paphs always have really big roots. I think if you're used to growing oncidiums or phalaenopsis or cattleyas, you're always quite astonished when you see your first paph roots because there are so few of them compared to other orchids. Look at the sky. Yeah, it's definitely trying to divide. Really don't need lots of these plants, but I guess that's what I'm getting. Okay, so this section actually is a really good section. These fans have both flowered recently. And we have actually several good firm roots there. That's a good result. So I've got, let's see, I've got 1 fan, 2 fan, 3 fan, and a little baby fan growing there and a second little baby fan. So that's quite a good plant. Now, as for this other section, do you know what? This one is flowered as well because there's the end of the spike. The fans, are they smaller? I don't know. We've got 1 fan, 2 fan, 3 fans. And we've got really some quite decent roots. Even some, see the growing tips down there, the white growing tips, which is a very good sign. There are some mushy roots as well, don't get me wrong. But that's what we have here. Okay, I seem to have lost a very large and healthy root here, which is a shame, but so it goes. Now, I don't want to mix my water here. I will mix water for these two because they've shared everything up until this point in time. So what I'm going to do is put some water into this bowl here that the plant came out of just to wash the roots a bit. Whoa. I'm just going to put that up there. Right, so taking the first plant. Oh no, look at this. When I actually bought this plant, it was obvious that it was several seedlings in a pot. And there we go. So my great big division was actually, 2 smaller ones, each with a flower spike. So let's just wash these up now. Just tip it in there, and we'll put this one down here. Just kind of wash off the worst of stuff. And of course, paph roots aren't terribly flexible compared to, well, oncidiums, for example. Now this one definitely has the best root system. Look at that. So that's my boy for the next flowering. Okay. Right, so what I'm going to do now is to kind of remove any damaged roots, and I will first of all use my trusty secateurs, which has been steeped in bleach, and with, I guess, my first plant here, that one is loose and gone. We'll just check out what's going on and cut off any mushy roots. I think, you know what, I'm going to angle the computer down so you can see better what I'm doing. There now, I think that's better. Right, so turn them around your way so we can see. Right, so this is the one we're working on at the moment. And he has a number of really good roots. This one, on the other hand, is not good. So we're going to snip that off. And that is not good. And what exactly is going on down here? think we have a bit of a root that's kind of come from somewhere else and broken off one of the other plants perhaps. Okay, so just feeling these with my fingers to see how firm they are, because firm is good, squishy is bad. And this one here, you see that one there? It's got a lovely root tip there that's quite green, but there is a section there that was attached to it that was soft. So off he comes, just feeling around. Now, if I were doing this not live, I would run this under the tap just to kind of clean off as much stuff as possible, but that isn't possible here. Got a little tip here that's squishy, so off you go, squishy, squishy. Now. Okay, I think that's pretty much as clean as we're going to get him, and he's ready to be potted on. As for these two ones here, I'm wondering, will I put some of these back in the same pot, because that's a lot of the same path. I'm going to take the opportunity to remove the spent flower spike from the top there, and that's good. And then this bottom leaf here has seen better days, so I'm going to remove it by pulling down, not across, down. If you pull up, you're very likely to pull off something that you shouldn't have. Okay, so that's that. That's as best as I can get him. And then this final one here, let's take off the flower spike and just have a look. This is really, I mean, it's just one fan and a smaller new fan. Ha, there we go. Right, so that's 3 of them. But the roots aren't bad at all. I mean, considering we've 3 plants in the same pot, they've done really well. Okay, now what we need to do is get one of the pots. Excuse me while I yell. Is there anyone in the kitchen? I guess there's no one in the kitchen, so just bear with me for a second now while I go and fetch those pots. And here I am back again with the pots I've prepared, which I feel let's see what we have in terms of the plants. Whoa. Let's just pop the secateurs back into the bleach, because we will be using it on other plants, although I'm not sure the required length of time to actually properly sterilize between plants, but we'll do what we can. Okay, right, so this is the best guy, and I am thinking he is going to go in this pot. I am thinking this pot is too big. If I had managed to not break this pot, it would have been ideal just for him, but yeah. Right, so what we're going to do here for the moment is Actually, I could put this one in this smaller pot. That works quite well. Let's make the mix for repotting the plants. Okay, so we need orchid bark, and I have here a small grade orchid bark. The last time I repotted my paphs and made a video about it, the proportions I used seemed to work out really quite well for me, so I'm going to stick with that. And I think I used 3 parts bark last time, half a part perlite, half a part sphagnum. So I'm going to do that again. So I've got 6 parts bark in here. And I'm putting in 1 part perlite. And then if I can find where I hit the sphagnum, we'll put in 1 part sphagnum. Now, some people say that sphagnum is not the best medium to use in a mix for paphs. And they also say that you should repot your paphs quite frequently. But the last time I repotted most of these frags was the 2 years ago when you saw me do it on screen, and they've done quite well. So I'm not saying people are wrong, I'm just saying I'm lazy and I get away with what I can get away with. Okay, so just giving that a good mix around. And the perlite is quite dusty. Excuse me. Okay, so that's my mix. I'm going to put this aside and unpot some more frags. So here's my discard bowl back again. I'll just leave those ones there to the side. And let's have a look at this one here. So this is Leanii. It's a paph I've had for a number of years, and it was one that was repotted 2 years ago when I did the major repotting. It's been soaking for a couple of hours, and I'm going to take it out of its pot. It does have some roots escaping through the base as we had last time. So hopefully this will result in a better being able to get them out than before. See, it's done really well with the roots winding around there and there. I'll just take out the label, I'll put it here. I will put this cup down here. Remove the moss. This one is really quite pale, isn't it? I've had this on the edge of the grow light upstairs, and it's actually taking more light than I would have thought paphs should. But having said that, they're all doing really well, so I'm not going to change it. So let's see. So we've got 3 fans here at the top, and just squeeze, 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 loosen, 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 loosen. And out it comes. Oh yeah. Just seeing if I can get his root out. Broke a little bit, but most of it came back out through the hole. Okay, so that's okay. And now I'm just going to knock off the medium so we can assess what the root system on this plant is like. And would you look at this? It's always the way with paphs. I mean, they have so few roots, but the ones they do have are rigid, and also they seem quite different as well. Like if you're used to cattleyas, you're looking at the green tips and whiteness, I suppose, in the roots, even at a minimum. Whereas with the paphs, that's not necessarily the case. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the plant. Right, so out he comes. It's like a big spring sprung. Now, why are your roots so long? Would you not grow more roots rather than just really, really long roots? Having said that, they're in good order. They're firm. They're meaty. They're not soft and squidgy. So I guess I can't complain too much. Just take the opportunity to remove some of the lower sheets. Again, pulling down, always pulling down. And this goes for any orchid, really, any plant actually, really. You know, if you take a sheath and you pull up, you're very likely to dislodge a whole fan in this case, or a whole section of the plant, the new growth in the case of an oncidium. Okay, so there he is. He's very scummy looking, but I don't actually think there's a single root there that needs to be taken off, which is an amazing result actually. Well, it's not amazing, but you know what I mean. Okay, so there he is, and he goes to his bowl. Ugh, lots of yucky stuff. Should get some tissues tonight. Right, so we're going to pour some water in on top of him just to clean up his act. Bit more. Okay. Now. Oh, I found a squidgy bit. I found a tiny bit that is squidgy. Off he comes. And the rest just goes in there. Now, what pot was I planning on putting him back in? Because I feel it was, yeah, one of these pots here, like this pot here, which is the same size as the previous one. Now, paphs really shouldn't be overpotted, so this means really kind of wrapping his roots around again and again and again. We're just really freshening the mix here with this guy. There's so little to be done. Look at that. Oh dear. Just push it down in the pot, I guess. There he is. And there are like fresh white tips in several places. Doing really well. Okay, he is doing, that's great. I'm not going to do anything different. I'm just going to put him into this pot and just using the label here to just push the roots down a bit better. And then, of course, we need to put some of the mix around it. This is the bowl of water. He was cleaned in. I'll just take the opportunity to use it like a finger bowl and clean my hands to a certain extent because, yeah, I suppose we should really wash our hands between each plant, but it's not practical when I am doing a repotting out here. Okay, so there he is. And now I'm just going to try and backfill it as best I can with the mix, which involves putting it in here and allowing it to fall to the bottom. Lots of tapping. We're going to be doing lots of tapping. This plant was actually gifted to me a long time ago by another YouTuber, a young boy who used to make orchid videos called Orchid in the UK, and he sent me this plant among several others, which is really nice. And so many of them have done well. Excuse me, perlite alert. Okay, giving this good taps to get it to go down and down and down. Now, there we go. And actually the new fans are coming from here. That's a new one. So there's a bit of space, more space at the front than the back. But since the plants prefer to be kind of tight in their pot, that's not going to be an issue really. Now the advantage of putting something in a transparent pot is that you can see the gaps that are there, and there are several still which you may struggle to fill. Yeah, down there there's a bit of an old gap. Come on, come on. I think that's about as good as I can get it in terms of getting the medium to go down. Of course, when I water this now, it's going to settle a bit better. So I'm going to pop the label back in here. And I'm going to top dress it with some sphagnum, which is something I've taken to doing with all of my paphs, because it just seems to work well. Also, like what I find very often is that the new roots, they come out a bit high of the surface of the mixture, and they will struggle to go down into it because it's quite a well-drained mix really. So the extra spag just on the surface just kind of coaxes them down if it's moist. And I've also kind of taken to keeping my paphs just moist, not allowing them to really dry out completely between waterings at all. Occasionally it happens because I'm a bit slow with the watering, but mostly no. Okay, so there he is. That's a good result. That one is well potted. I'll give him some water and put him back in position, and he will go on to do great things. One of the things I really love about paphs is, touch wood, they seem to be quite bug resistant. I have had not so many issues with bugs on my paphs as I had with many other orchids. So down he goes, and let's see what else we have. Right, so I guess we might address the big guy. Okay, so this is what's called in this part of the world a complex American hybrid. No other name, just a complex American hybrid. It's a big plant, and it's one I bought at a tulip garden, more than 10 years ago. Can you believe it? So the Keukenhof tulip gardens in the Netherlands were actually visited this year, you may recall, but I visited like 10 years ago and bought this plant, and it has done so well. And at the moment, I mean, it has had many fans over the course of its life, and some have withered and disappeared, and at the moment it has 1, 2, 3, 4 fans. 4 fans, which is okay, and it's flowered recently, so no problems here. Now we're lifting up the bowl for the rubbish, and we're getting quite full here. What am I going to do with this? I'm going to put this. Where am I going to put that? I don't know where I'm going to put that. Yeah, don't look. Okay. So here he is. And as usual, what we're going to do is to get him out of his pot. He is so old that the original label I got with him has kind of dried out and cracked over time. The plant is doing well, so that's great. Now, let me see. Have we got anything coming out of the base? No, nothing coming out from the base. Now, when I repotted this guy 2 years ago, you may recall when I lifted it out of the pot, I was a bit disappointed at its roots. And I had planned on putting it in a bigger pot. But when I saw the state of the roots, I put it back in the same pot. And in fact, it was at a push because when it went back in the same pot, it seemed to have fewer roots. Like it seemed to fit the pot less because the pot size was right for the top growth, which is how you judge which pot to put aside for your new plant. But when we looked at the roots, it needed a smaller pot. But I actually went with the bigger one at the time, which is not recommended. But it seems to have done well. See, plenty of roots here, and he's flowered a couple of times. So we'll see. Nothing coming out the base. Come on, come on. No, it doesn't want to come out yet. He says, take the sphagnum off and then I'll see. And we'll see what we're going to do. Lots of sheets there as well. We'll take those off now in a minute. Oof. Squish, squish, squish. Don't want to break it. The top bit was moving there, but the bottom bit wasn't, so. Here we go. Out he comes. And let's get this mix off. Now, I think it's actually degraded quite a bit in the 2 years, which probably means you should repot your paphs more frequently every year, perhaps. But we do have good roots left. So that is probably an indication of the fact that it's such, you know, a non-fussy and good plant rather than the care it has gotten, because I think I really should have repotted him earlier. Okay, I found a squishy root here, which has just kind of come off in my hand. And aren't they gas? Like the roots are at the edge of the pot and there's nothing in the center. Well, there are a few, but it's like a lattice work. Some green tips there as well. And there we go. What's going on here? I think this is a squidgy root, basically. Off it comes. Yeah. So there are a few squidgy roots, soft roots, that are coming off as we go. Oh, there's a longer one there. And I will actually use the secateurs, which has been in the bleach here, just to snip that one out. And there, that one there, not good. And there's another one here. Yeah, there it comes. Well, I'm just going to take the opportunity to snip off the spikes. Spent spikes. 1, 2, 3. Oof. And take off the sheets by pulling down. Feel free to ask any questions at any stage. I can actually see the screen at the moment, so if you put a question in there, I'm happy to answer it if I can. Okay, so let's see. And another sheet there coming off. Just exposing some new root tips, which is always a good sign. Yeah. Okay, well, this is one that's going back in the same pot. So I just pop it in here and give it a bit of a wash. The water here. Oh, you've no idea how scary it is around here at the moment. So many vessels of water. So just kind of washing it off a bit, getting rid of some of the degraded bark. And now let's see. So I'm going to put him back in his pot, which actually needs a wash out. I mean, it wouldn't need sterilizing because he's going back in the same pot and he doesn't have any issues, so no need to sterilize. But it does need a wash because the bark is degraded and it's kind of deteriorated a bit. So I am going to see if I can get one of my long-suffering family members to wash that out for me, and then we can finish repotting this complex American hybrid. Do you know, he sounds like a moody one, doesn't he? You know, me, I'm complex. Excuse me, I'm going to yell. Norman? No. Anybody in the kitchen? Yeah. Oh, could you do me a favor, please? Yes. We're actually live now, okay? But would you mind washing this for me and bringing it back? No need to sterilize or anything. Thank you. Just thought I'd warn him there. Yeah. Okay. You can see that there are several healthy looking tips to the roots, but we didn't, I mean, I guess this depends on variety, but not all of them tend to, you know, have many of them there and there, around here. See what I mean about the root tips coming from the top of the base of the fan, and like they can have difficulty going down in the mixture unless you coax them with a bit of sphagnum. Here we have, there's a kind of like a, this is like the old rhizome. And I wonder, might I be as well just to cut it off? I mean, it's doing nothing. It's not holding anything on. It's just an indication of the age of the plant. I think I will just snip it off. Yeah. Look, it's kind of like woody, not in great nick. Off you come. Many thanks. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna pop the secateurs back into the bleach, and hopefully it'll have enough time to sterilize before we move on to the next plant. Right, so there you go, you mucky pup. Again, if I could just run this under some clear water, it would probably do better than it is now. Oh, we've got the sun coming in on my right. Let's just move forward a little bit. Okay, I think that's really all I need to do with this guy. So, without further ado, I will get rid of his, put him over his old pot. This on the floor. Same trick. Let's just maneuver this down into the pot. There we go. It's nice having old plants, old orchids. They're like kind of old friends, aren't they? This one has been with me a long time. And really, I suppose, like from when I was quite a novice at orchid growing, so it's an indication of how good a plant he is. Okay, so I guess that's as down in his pot as he's going to get without any mix. And now I'm going to put the mix in around him. I'll put this down on the floor. So, whoa. In we go. Same story as last time. Wow, so hot here today. It's really unbearable. We wouldn't be used to this at all now. In Ireland, if we get to 30, it's like, oh no, it's so hot. I guess the main problem is that our gardens and that aren't geared up to cope with such heat. We grow plants that do better in cooler climates, in a cooler climate. So yeah, don't get me wrong, it's great. You can sit in the shade and you're not kind of trying to plant a grapevine in your greenhouse. It's great to have it. And of course, I have to make sure that my biennial seedlings that you saw me plant recently were well hydrated because, dear Lord. Okay, now, there we go. Bang, bang. I think that's about him. So that's as, bashed down as I can get it. You should go on and do great things. For nostalgia's sake, we'll put in the old label. And I'll top dress him with a bit of sphagnum. Because we did see that small root there trying to find its way down, and we don't want to discourage it. Now, again, this one will get a good water to settle it in and be put back in its flowering position under the grow light, also under the grow light, at the edge of the grow light. So the main section is for the cattleyas, and then these guys are a bit around the edge. Okay, go down there with your friend. Right, another one here, and this guy is doing less well than the others. So this is the one they call Pinocchio. So it's a perpetual flowering one, or a sequential flowering one. It's supposed to keep on flowering on the same stem over and over again. Mine is not doing that. I mean, it has done a bit, but I haven't had flowers for a while. There was one and then it stopped and didn't get anything else. So maybe a repot, a good repot. The roots seem okay. See that? Seem okay. Again, repotted 2 years ago when I did the others. This pot is less rigid, so it's actually quite difficult to squeeze the sides. I wonder if we can just press down here on the table, save strength in my hands for projects that they can deal with. I wonder, is that loosening him at all? No. Right, let's try and pull out the sphagnum around the top. Yeah, it smells a bit sour, the mix, but I don't anticipate that this one is going to go into a bigger pot at all either. Oh, come on. Come on out. Would you not behave? Let's see if I can just... I don't want to knock the cup of bleach all over the place. Come on out. I think we might need a knife with this one. Problem is the rigidity of the pot. I don't want to grab the fans and yank because that really is a recipe for disaster. My poor long-suffering husband. Norman? Hello? Anyone in the kitchen? Could I have a butter knife, please? A butter knife, please?
Regular knife.
Yeah. Oh, hang on, wait. I got it. It's okay. Right, we didn't need the knife. We got him out in the end. But this mix isn't great. Right, so just taking the mix off. And Norman, sorry, you would wash that out for me again, please. Last one, I promise. Thank you. See, it's very good today. He even dug the hole for that grapevine I was talking about earlier. I didn't dig it. It was a hell of a hole. Right. Now we have the central part of the roots seem to be rotted off, but there are some good ones around the edge. Okay. Yeah. Well, I suppose it couldn't have gone all that way, that when we took each orchid out of the pot, each one was great. There had to be one that had bad roots, didn't there? I mean, it's the law of averages. Okay, and now what I think I will do here is... Ugh, this is very mucky. I will put... Where did he come out of? I'm going to just angle you down here so we can look at the roots. Thank you very much. There's our pot. And you can see what's going on here. So the outer roots are in good shape, but the inner ones are, well, they're rotted. So we're going to cut them off. And not all of them, but a number of them. The soft ones, that one's gone. That one's gone. That one's gone. Oof. What's that? Oh, you're not good either, are you? Nope. Let's just turn it over. Let's have a look on this side. Oh, that's a bad root. Take that off. And that. All right, right in here. Crown of the plant. Or the base of the plant, should I say. Okay, just maneuver it a bit more, pull out a bit of sphagnum, pull out a bit of bark. Yeah, got some good root tips over this side. There we go. Now, you're going to hear some singing in the background. That's my daughter singing to my grandson. Okay. My goodness, what a palaver. This one is making me work for my money. Had this plant a good few years as well. Now, this was given to me by my friend when it got too big for her, my friend Liga, who you've probably seen her channel. She actually grows a lot of orchids and was an orchid grower before I ever was. There's another bit that isn't great. Let you come. Well, this is the most urgent one that needed repotting. I can tell you that for a start, just from the state of it in here. Plenty of like spent spikes where it did flower, but it's not at the moment. It's not flowering at the moment. It's great to have something like this in your collection that just constantly flowers. Sequential flower. Well, if you can get it to flower and don't mistreat it. There's been a bit of mistreatment going on here now, I do fear. So we just cut out a few more bits. A bit more bark, out you come. Ooh, what's that? Oh, it's a little fan, a baby fan I've managed to pull out, which is not good. We would have done better to keep that intact as part of the plant. Just remove a few sheaths down below. And now, oh, this one is deciding to divide. Look at this. And actually, maybe I'll let it. These pieces aren't attached at all. There we go. Now let's go on here. You coming apart? Are you staying? Oh. Right, look at this. So the two plants are apart. They weren't attached by a rhizome or anything, but they are attached by these two roots who are intimately bound together, just stuck together over the course of time. Let's see if I can, there we go. Separated. There we go. Okay, so this is the bigger piece. Yep, lost a leaf. And the bigger piece has, here we go with the breaking of the. I barely tapped that one now. I guess, oh, I don't know what. Okay, right, so there's one piece that is just one fan, which is not a great recipe. This one is like one large fan and several small ones, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we've got this one, which is a large fan and a small one. And I think I am going to put them back in the one pot because I really do not want to be dealing with so many different plants. Trying to decide what to do. Ugh. Let's just tip you up there a bit. Now, I think what I might do is put 2 of them back in that pot and put one in a separate pot. So we'll take excuse me, we'll take this one, which has the babies on it, and we're going to put it in this clean pot here. Yeah, it seems too big to me. I wonder, would we put 2 of them in here? Don't see a new growth in that. This one does have the chunkiest roots. Oh, that's a shame. There's a nice white tip on that, but it's gone. I'm going to put 1 in here, and then I'm going to put the other 2 in the bigger pot, and we'll see how that goes. You know, at least I have backup. Woo. I'm just going to clear off some of this rubbish here because it's getting squalid very fast. There's the sun coming in on me on the right. Oh, back you go. Now, oof. There, that's a bit better. Whoa. This pot is really too big, but you know what? I'm going to risk it. Might be, I mean, yeah. It's not too big considering the roots, but it is too big considering the plant in general, I think. You'll just have to check back and see how it does over time. There we go, Pinocchio. There, and a bit of sphagnum at the top. This guy's no label, so I'm going to have to be careful not to get it mixed up. Now, okay, Pinocchio. Actually, with all those new growths, I bet this one is going to go on and do great things. Here's hoping anyway. Okay, Pinocchio, down you go. Now, this is as much mix as I have left, and I am just wondering if I have enough to repot these. There's very little sphagnum in that, so I'm going to add a little bit of sphagnum. I guess I didn't mix it around well enough. What do you think? Is it going to be enough? We will see. We will see. Okay. So, there you go there. And your brother here beside you. Do get those roots in. Whew. Now, I think I'm just going to put it on top here. I'm not generally a fan of communal pots with more than one plant, more than one orchid in the pot, but sometimes, you know, just to reduce the volume of plants, you need to consider such things. So this is one of those times. Okay, so I don't have quite enough mix to finish the potting on this. So I'm going to get a bit more from the kitchen afterwards and just top it up. And of course, pot on these ones here. Yeah. One of them's going in the small pot anyway. Okay. I guess that's about it, because when you've run out of mix, you've run out of mix. At least you didn't run out of pots this time. Well, kind of cheated. Got my husband to go in there and wash some. So there we go. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Is that somebody there commenting? And I guess I'll do another orchid repotting in 2 weeks' time if you want it. If there's a particular orchid you'd like me to repot, let me know. And it may be that that orchid does need a repot, in which case I could do it in the video. And that's all. Thanks for watching, and hello again, Regina, and have a great weekend. Oh. Oh, excuse me.